Hello, church family. I love you all and I miss seeing you. And as your pastor, you're under my care, and I take that very seriously. We're going to be coming back together sometime very soon, and it's going to look different than it did before. And those details are going to be conveyed soon as well. Our church staff and our elders are prayerfully wrestling through what it's going to look like to reopen our physical campus. But I want you to know that we have the opportunity to not just come back because we can, but because the Lord is making a way for us too. And we should prepare in our hearts to seek the Lord wholeheartedly for God to do a new work in all of us. We're going back not to the same, but to a new normal that's going to look a little different than it did before. But you know what? We worship a God who doesn't do things the same all the time. In fact, He's a God of new beginnings. So let's not miss what God is doing. You know, in light of the recent Wisconsin Supreme Court decision overturning our state's safer at home order, we're wrestling through what it's going to look like to keep our church family and our community safe and healthy during this time, as we put in place a phased plan to reopen our physical campus. Now, the COVID-19 landscape is changing almost daily, and so we're monitoring the progress of the disease here in central Wisconsin, following the recommendations of Marathon County public health officials, because we are in Marathon County across the street there on McMillan Street. And consulting as well with dozens of sister churches as we seek God's wisdom for the best path forward. I want you to know I was on a conference call yesterday with 8 other pastors here in our community, just together seeking the Lord. I was on a conference call earlier today with 55 other pastors here in our region through Converge. I was on a call with several other pastors as well, just together trying to figure out how do we do this best. And so let me just share with you where we're at today, and we're going to be updating things moment by moment, day by day, as that landscape changes. Our church office will be reopening to the public beginning Monday morning, May 18th. Our staff will be maintaining regular office hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, while taking precautions to protect the health of our staff and each person entering the facility. This includes hand sanitizer at the main entrance, face masks available for those choosing to wear one, and maintaining a physical distancing of 6 feet between persons not residing in the same home, as well as daily cleaning of high-touch surfaces. Those exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19 are urged not to visit the facility, rather to go and seek medical care. High-risk individuals, and that would be persons age 60 plus and those with underlying health conditions, are encouraged to prioritize your health and safety. Now, the bigger question that I've been asked, I've had a number of emails in the past 48 hours, what about Sunday morning worship? Our online campus continues to stream our services at 9 and 10:45. And I don't know if you've joined us the last weeks, but I'm so proud of our worship team and Dan and Chris and Steve. And I mean, they've just taken to a new level. And I'm really excited by what God has planned for us through our live stream this Sunday. In-person services will resume in the near future. We expect to finalize that reopening date next week. In the meantime, we're working through literally dozens of decisions that must be made before resuming services at our physical campus. Let me just share a few of those right now. Again, we're talking new normal. A seating capacity in the main worship center will be limited. And that will include, again, that physical distancing of those who do not reside in the same home. We're tentatively planning on using the multipurpose room for worship and overflow in the lobby as well, again, maintaining physical distancing. An online reservation system will be in place. We'll let you know all about that over these next days, and that's going to ensure that we have enough seating for each person, again, in a lowered capacity situation, for each person to join us then at our physical campus, while also leaving room for our guests. Some of our church, including high-risk individuals, watch parties of several families there in their living rooms, and several of our small groups are saying they're going to choose to continue worshiping in their homes through our online campus. And so it's going to look different. We're still trying to figure out how to do that with a lowered capacity so we can gather together for worship but stay safe. And that includes our normal Sunday morning children's ministries will not be resuming for the foreseeable future. However, several safe alternatives are being considered for younger families to join us for worship at the facility, and we'll be sharing more of those details as they're finalized over these next several days. Other safety practices are being finalized as well. These will include adjustments in how we greet one another, how we fellowship after services. Our coffee and cafe will be closed for the time being, of course. The way we collect our offering will shift. The Lord's table will now be utilizing prepackaged communion kits. Moreover, our cleaning regimen before, between, and after services will be adjusted in accordance with public health recommendations. There's probably a dozen other things I don't have time to walk through now, but these are all to ensure we can meet together when it's that right time and safely. Other ministries, when in-person worship resumes at our physical campus in the near future, any midweek small groups, youth ministries, and other ministries utilizing our physical campus will also resume meeting. I want you to know that your staff has been meeting, hours of prayerful consideration. Our elders will be finalizing these recommendations, Lord willing, next Wednesday evening. Will you be praying for us? And in the middle of this, I want to be praying for unity within our church body and within the broader Marshfield community. I know that even conversations with several of you, some are really wishing that we would just open up full bore everything this Sunday morning. Others are saying, no, we need to be a lot more cautious, very concerned about the possible health repercussions of opening up to any degree. And I know there's people everywhere on that continuum within our own church family. And what I'm calling us to do is to pray for our leaders to have the Spirit's wisdom so that we can begin figuring out how to meet again and stay safe as we do so. I know that everyone's going to have a different perspective about what that should look like, but can we respect one another and love one another through our differences? And that includes those who attend different churches and may have differing perspectives than what our church ends up deciding. It was neat to hear from several other pastors, as I mentioned, 8 pastors at sister churches in our community looking at probably opening up with a similar timeline in a similar way, and knowing where some of those differences will bear out. It doesn't mean that church or that church has more or less faith, more or less obedience to the Lord's will. It means that they're seeking best they can to follow the Lord's leadership. I believe the most important thing in this season is maintaining the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace that the Lord has called us to as a body of Christ. Will you pray to that end for me? God bless each and every one of you this day.